Listen, you think you're lazy? Let me tell you something that'll crack your skull open. You're not lazy. You're at war with yourself. And the worst part? You don't even know who's fighting. You wake up every morning with grand plans. Today I'll write that novel, start that business, finally become who I'm meant to be. By noon, you're scrolling through your phone, hating yourself, wondering why you can't just do the thing. You call it laziness. You call it procrastination. Jung would laugh at you. See, here's what nobody tells you, that laziness is the most intelligent part of your psyche trying to save your life. Yeah, you heard me right. Your unconscious isn't stupid. It's smarter than you'll ever be. And when it slams on the brakes every time you try to chase your ambitions, it's because those ambitions, they're not yours. Think about it. Where did you get this idea of what success looks like? This picture of who you're supposed to become? I'll tell you where. You inherited it. From your parents, from society, from every movie you've ever watched about some hero conquering the world. You're trying to live someone else's life, and your psyche knows it. So it rebels. It makes you lazy. But here's where it gets really interesting, where Jung blows the whole thing wide open. He said the psyche is self-regulating. Self-regulating. Do you understand what that means? It means every time you push in one direction, something in you pushes back. The harder you chase that borrowed dream, the harder your unconscious hits the emergency brake. And you sit there, paralyzed, calling yourself names. You know what's actually happening? Your soul is screaming. It's saying, "Wrong way, idiot." But you don't speak the language of the soul. You only speak the language of the ego. And the ego only knows one word: more. Let me paint you a picture. You're sitting at your desk, and you've got that project open. The one that's going to change everything. Make you rich, make you famous, make your parents finally proud. And what happens? Your mind goes blank. Your body gets heavy. Suddenly, checking your email seems like the most important thing in the world. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. A wisdom so deep, you can't even recognize it. Jung spent his whole life watching people destroy themselves, chasing the wrong mountain. He saw ambitious men turn into empty suits, successful on the outside, dead on the inside. He saw women sacrifice their souls on the altar of other people's expectations. And every single one of them thought their problem was that they weren't trying hard enough. Here's the joke. The more ambitious you are, the lazier you become. Know why? Because the gap between who you're pretending to be and who you actually are gets so wide that your psyche can't bridge it anymore. So it shuts down. It says, nope, not playing this game. You want to know something that'll really mess with your head? Those moments when you're wasting time, when you're doing nothing productive, when you're just sitting there staring at the wall. Those might be the most important moments of your life, because that's when the real you gets a chance to breathe. That's when your soul whispers, "Hey, remember me?" But you don't listen. You fire up another motivational video. You make another to-do list. You promise yourself that tomorrow, you'll finally have the discipline. Tomorrow, you'll be the person you're supposed to be. And your unconscious laughs and laughs and laughs. Jung had this idea called the shadow. Everybody thinks the shadow is your dark side, your evil twin. Wrong. The shadow is everything you won't let yourself be. And guess what's in most people's shadow? Their actual dreams, their real ambitions, the life they'd live if nobody was watching. See, we're all walking around with two lives. See, we're all walking around with two lives. There's the life you're supposed to live. The one with the job title and the mortgage and the retirement plan. And then there's the life that calls to you at 3 a.m. when you can't sleep. The life that seems too crazy, too impractical, too authentic. And here's the killer. Every time you choose the supposed to life, a part of you dies. Not metaphorically, literally. Jung watched it happen. He saw people's creativity shrivel, their passion evaporate, their spark just gone, and they'd come to him saying, "Doctor, I've achieved everything I wanted. Why do I feel so empty? You know what he'd tell them? Stop wanting what you're supposed to want. Stop trying to be who you're supposed to be. Your laziness isn't the problem, it's the solution. It's your psyche's last-ditch attempt to save you from a life that isn't yours. But here's where it gets tricky. Here's where most people screw it up completely. They hear this and think, great, I'll just do whatever I want, follow my bliss, quit my job and become a street musician. And then they're broke and miserable and more confused than ever. That's not what Jung was saying. He wasn't telling you to be impulsive. He was telling you to be conscious. There's a difference, a huge difference. Being conscious means asking yourself the hardest question there is. Whose life am I living? And then shutting up long enough to hear the answer. Not the answer your ego wants to give. Not the answer that sounds good. The answer that comes from that place in you that's been trying to get your attention through what you call laziness. You want to know why you can spend 8 hours playing video games but can't spend 8 minutes on your important work. Because the video game is honest. It's not pretending to be anything other than what it is. But that important work? It's a costume. It's you playing dress up in somebody else's life. Jung saw this pattern everywhere. The businessman who couldn't close deals but could spend hours tinkering in his garage. The lawyer who was too lazy to prepare briefs but wrote poetry until dawn. The student who couldn't study medicine but devoured philosophy books like they were oxygen. Were they lazy or were they being called? See, your psyche doesn't care about your 5-year plan. It doesn't care about your LinkedIn profile. It cares about one thing, wholeness. And every time you chase an ambition that isn't connected to your wholeness, it fights back. It makes you tired. It makes you distracted. It makes you lazy. But when you're moving toward your real purpose, when you're doing what you're actually here to do, suddenly you have energy you didn't know existed. Suddenly 8 hours feels like 8 minutes. Suddenly you're not lazy anymore. You're unstoppable. The problem is, finding your real purpose isn't some weekend workshop bullshit. It's not about vision boards and affirmations. It's about descent. Yeah, descent. Down into the parts of yourself you've been running from your whole life. Jung called it individuation. Sounds fancy, but it's actually brutal. It means facing every lie you've told yourself about who you are. It means admitting that maybe, just maybe, you don't want what you think you want. It means that your whole personality might be a defense mechanism against becoming who you really are. You know what's in your shadow? I'll tell you. Everything that would make your mother disappointed. Everything that would make your friends think you're crazy. Everything that doesn't fit the image you've been carefully constructing since you were 5 years old. And that's where your real ambition lives. Not the ambition to impress people. Not the ambition to prove you're worthy. The ambition to become what you are. Which sounds simple until you realize you've spent your entire life becoming what you're not. Here's something that'll really bake your noodle. What if your laziness is actually courage? What if it takes more guts to resist fake ambitions than to pursue them? What if every time you procrastinate, you're actually protecting something sacred? Think about it. Everybody else is rushing around, climbing ladders, checking boxes, posting achievements, and you're sitting there, unable to move, feeling like a failure. But what if you're the only one who's actually listening? What if you're the only one who hears that voice saying, "This isn't it. This isn't what we're here for"? Jung noticed something fascinating. The people who came to him with the worst cases of laziness often had the strongest callings. It was like their psyche had to scream louder to be heard over all the noise. The more they tried to force themselves into the wrong life, the more violently their unconscious rebelled. He'd see these brilliant people capable of anything reduced to complete paralysis. And you know what the cure was? Not more discipline, not better habits, not productivity hacks. The cure was honesty. Brutal, terrifying honesty about what they actually wanted. But here's the catch, and there's always a catch. What you actually want might be scarier than what you're supposed to want. See, borrowed ambitions are safe. If you fail at someone else's dream, who cares? You never really wanted it anyway. But if you fail at your own dream, that's a different kind of pain. So, we stay lazy. We stay stuck. We choose the discomfort we know over the adventure we don't. And then we hate ourselves for it, which just makes everything worse. Jung saw this cycle everywhere. People torturing themselves for not being able to do things they didn't actually want to do. Like prisoners beating themselves up for not being able to love their cage. You want to know the real mindfuck. Sometimes your truest ambition is to have no ambition at all. Sometimes what your soul really wants is simplicity, peace, a garden, a small life lived with complete presence. But we can't admit that because it doesn't look good on Instagram. So we keep pushing. We keep striving. We keep calling ourselves lazy when we can't summon enthusiasm for things that don't matter to us. And the split between who we are and who we're trying to be gets wider and wider until something breaks. Jung watched people have complete breakdowns, and you know what he found? The breakdown was the breakthrough. It was the psyche finally saying, enough, we're done playing this game. And in that collapse, in that failure, in that moment of complete defeat, something real could finally emerge. But we're terrified of that breakdown. We'll do anything to avoid it. We'll medicate it, distract ourselves from it, positive think our way around it. Anything but feel it. Anything but let it transform us. Here's what Jung knew that nobody wants to hear. You can't think your way to wholeness. You can't achieve your way there. You can't even therapy your way there. The only way is through surrender. Through admitting that maybe your laziness knows something you don't. What if every time you procrastinate, you're actually in conversation with your unconscious? What if it's trying to tell you something? Not in words, but in resistance, in fatigue, in that heavy feeling that makes it impossible to do what you should be doing. Most people never learn the language of resistance. They just fight it. They declare war on their own psychology. And guess who wins that war? Nobody. You end up exhausted, demoralized, split in half. Jung proposed something radical. What if you befriended your resistance? What if you got curious about it? What if instead of asking, how can I overcome my laziness, you asked, what is my laziness trying to protect? Because here's the thing about the psyche. It's always trying to protect something. Always. Even when it seems like it's sabotaging you, it's actually trying to save you from something worse. Like living a life that isn't yours. Like becoming someone you're not. Like sacrificing your soul for applause. You know what's really ambitious? Refusing to betray yourself. You know what takes real courage? Admitting you don't want what you're supposed to want. You know what's actually hard work? Sitting still long enough to hear what your life is trying to tell you. But we can't do it. We're too busy, too distracted, too committed to our false ambitions. So our psyche does the only thing it can do. It makes us lazy. It makes us tired. It makes us unable to continue in the wrong direction. And then we go to therapy. We read self-help books. We try new systems, new planners, new morning routines. Anything to fix our laziness. Anything to get back on track. But what if the track is the problem? What if your laziness is trying to derail you because the train is headed off a cliff? Jung spent years in what he called his confrontation with the unconscious. You know what that means. He stopped running. He stopped trying to be Carl Jung, respectable doctor. He let himself fall apart. He painted weird pictures. He talked to imaginary figures. He did everything that ambitious people aren't supposed to do. And what happened? He discovered the collective unconscious. He mapped the human psyche. He changed the way we understand the mind forever. Not by trying harder, but by letting go. Not by overcoming his resistance, but by following it all the way down. You see the pattern? The thing you're resisting might be the thing you're supposed to be doing. The laziness you're fighting might be the wisdom you need. The ambition you can't fulfill might not be your ambition at all. But here's where it gets even more complex. Because some of you are thinking, great, I'll just give up on everything and see what happens. That's not it either. That's just another escape. Jung wasn't talking about passivity. He was talking about alignment. When you're aligned with your true purpose, you don't need motivation. You don't need discipline. You don't need to overcome laziness because there is no laziness. There's just flow. There's just doing what you're here to do. But finding that alignment, that's the work of a lifetime. And it starts with admitting that maybe, just maybe, your laziness is smarter than your ambition. Think about water. Water always finds the easiest path, and we call it lazy. But water carved the Grand Canyon. Water shaped continents. Water always gets where it's going, not by force, but by following its nature. What's your nature? Not what you've been told it should be. Not what would make your parents proud. What's your nature? What's the thing you do when no one's watching? What's the thing that feels so easy it doesn't even feel like work? That's your real ambition. That's your actual purpose. And every moment you spend trying to be something else is a moment your psyche will fight you. It'll make you lazy. It'll make you tired. It'll make you scroll through your phone instead of doing your important work. Jung understood something profound. The psyche is always moving toward wholeness. Always. Even when it seems like it's moving toward destruction, it's actually moving toward wholeness. Your job isn't to direct it. Your job is to get out of the way. But we can't do that. We're too attached to our image of who we should be. We're too invested in our borrowed ambitions. We're too scared of what we might find if we actually listen to our laziness. So we keep pushing, we keep striving, we keep hating ourselves for not being able to do things that aren't ours to do. And our soul keeps saying no, louder and louder, until we either listen or break. You want to know what real ambition looks like? It looks like Jung sitting alone in his tower, carving stone and talking to his dreams. It looks like the artist who paints even when no one's buying. It looks like the mother who refuses to pretend that raising children isn't her calling. It looks like anyone who has the courage to stop performing and start being. But that's terrifying. Because being means you might be rejected. Being means you might fail. Being means you can't blame anyone else if it doesn't work out. So we choose the safety of borrowed ambitions and then wonder why we're too lazy to pursue them. Here's the truth bomb. Your laziness is a compass. It's pointing away from what isn't yours and toward what is. But you have to learn how to read it. You have to stop seeing it as the enemy and start seeing it as the teacher. Every time you can't make yourself do something, ask, is this actually mine to do? Every time you feel that resistance, that heaviness, that inability to move forward, ask, what am I being protected from? Every time you call yourself lazy, ask, what would I do if I weren't afraid of being myself? Because here's what Jung discovered in all those years of watching people struggle. We're not afraid of failure. We're afraid of success. Not the fake success of meeting other people's expectations, but the real success of becoming who we are. That's the terrifying thing. That's what our laziness is trying to protect us from. Think about it. If you actually did what you're called to do, if you actually became who you're meant to be, everything would change. Your relationships would change. Your identity would change. People might not understand you anymore. You might not understand yourself anymore. So we stay safe, we stay lazy, we stay stuck in lives that don't fit, pursuing ambitions that aren't ours, and then we wonder why we're miserable. Jung saw this over and over. People who had everything but felt nothing. People who achieved all their goals but lost their souls. People who won the game but realized too late they were playing the wrong game entirely. And then he saw the other ones. The ones who had the courage to fail at what they were supposed to do so they could succeed at what they were meant to do. The ones who listened to their laziness until it revealed their purpose. The ones who stopped trying to be impressive and started trying to be real. Those people, they weren't lazy anymore. They worked harder than anyone, but it didn't feel like work. They had more energy than anyone, but they weren't forcing it. They achieved more than anyone, but achievement wasn't the point anymore. See, when you're doing what's yours to do, the whole universe conspires to help you. But when you're doing what isn't yours, the whole universe conspires to stop you. And we call that conspiracy laziness. Your unconscious knows things your conscious mind can't even imagine. It knows why you're here. It knows what you're capable of. It knows what would make you come alive. But it speaks in whispers, in dreams, in resistance, in what you call laziness. Most people go their whole lives without learning this language. They die successful and empty. They die having climbed every ladder except the one that mattered. They die having overcome their laziness and lost their soul. But you're still here. You're still listening, which means maybe, just maybe, your laziness hasn't given up on you yet. Maybe it's still trying to save you from a life that isn't yours. Maybe it's still hoping you'll finally hear what it's been trying to tell you all along. The question is, are you brave enough to listen? Are you willing to disappoint everyone who has plans for your life? Are you ready to admit that your inability to do certain things might be the healthiest thing about you? Because here's the final paradox, the one that'll really twist your mind. True ambition looks like laziness to everyone who's chasing the wrong things. True purpose looks like wasting time to everyone who's busy being busy. True success looks like failure to everyone who's playing the wrong game. Jung knew this. He lived it. He sacrificed his reputation, his standing in the medical community, his image as a serious scientist. He followed his laziness all the way down to the bottom of his psyche and came back with treasures that changed the world. But he didn't do it to change the world. He did it because he couldn't do anything else. Because his laziness wouldn't let him. Because his laziness wouldn't let him. Because his soul kept saying no to everything that wasn't true. What's your soul saying no to? What ambitions make you tired just thinking about them? What goals feel like wearing someone else's clothes? What success would feel like failure if you actually achieved it? Those questions matter more than any productivity hack, any morning routine, any motivational speech. Because until you know what's yours and what isn't, you'll always be lazy. You'll always be fighting yourself. You'll always be trying to become someone you're not supposed to be. But when you find what's actually yours, when you stop trying to live someone else's life, when you finally align with your real purpose, that's why your clicklist appears. That's why you disciplinity you didn't know you had. That's when work stops feeling like work and starts feeling like play. Jung called it the treasure hard to attain. Not because it's far away, but because it's so close we can't see it. Not because it's complex, but because it's so simple we can't believe it. Not because it's hidden, but because it's been showing itself through what we call our laziness all along. So maybe it's time to stop fighting. Maybe it's time to stop trying so hard to want things you don't actually want, things you don't actually want. Maybe it's time to ask your laziness what it knows that you don't. Because here's the ultimate truth, the one that changes everything. You're not lazy. You never were. You're just allergic to living someone else's life. Your psyche has been trying to tell you this in the only way it knows how, by making it impossible for you to continue in the wrong direction. That's not a bug. That's a feature. That's not weakness. That's intelligence. That's not something to overcome. That's something to follow, all the way down to who you really are, all the way down to what you're really here to do, all the way down to the life that's been waiting for you to be brave enough to live it. Your laziness isn't the problem. Your laziness is the solution, but only if you're willing to listen to what it's been trying to tell you all along. This isn't your life. These aren't your ambitions. This isn't who you are. And that's the best news you'll ever hear. Because it means the real you is still possible. The authentic life is still available. The true ambition is still calling. All you have to do is stop trying to be who you're not and start discovering who you are. All you have to do is trust your laziness more than your borrowed ambitions. All you have to do is have the courage to disappoint everyone except your soul. That's what Jung discovered. That's what changed everything. That's what your laziness has been trying to show you this whole time. The question now is simple. Will you listen? Or will you go back to your to-do list, your 5-year plan, your borrowed dreams, and keep wondering why you can't seem to make yourself care? The choice is yours. It always has been. Your laziness is just trying to remind you that you have a choice, that you've always had a choice, that every moment of resistance is actually a moment of possibility. What if you stopped calling it laziness and started calling it wisdom? What if you stopped seeing it as the enemy and started seeing it as the guide? What if the thing you've been trying to overcome is actually the thing that's trying to save your life? Jung bet his whole career on that possibility. He followed his resistance all the way to genius. He trusted his inability to be normal and discovered the extraordinary. He let his laziness lead him home. Where is your laziness trying to lead you? What normality is it trying to save you from? What extraordinary life is waiting on the other side of your resistance? Only you can answer those questions. Only you can decode what your laziness is trying to tell you. Only you can choose between the life you're supposed to live and the life that's calling your name. But here's the thing, you don't have forever. Every day you spend fighting your nature is a day you don't get back. Every year you waste trying to want what you don't want is a year stolen from your real life. Your laziness knows this. That's why it's getting louder. That's why the resistance is getting stronger. That's why you clitting extreme did it again. Because last night you did ambition. It's not pathology. It's not weakness. It's not something to fix. It's your psyche's last-ditch attempt to get your attention before it's too late, before you succeed at the wrong life, before you achieve everything and realize none of it was yours. So what'll it be? Will you keep trying harder to do things that aren't yours to do? Will you keep medicating your resistance and motivating yourself into someone else's life? Will you keep calling yourself lazy while your soul screams for authenticity? Or will you finally have the courage to ask the only question that matters, what is my laziness trying to teach me? The answer might surprise you, it might scare you, it might require you to change everything, but it will also set you free. Free from borrowed ambitions. Free from false purposes. Free from the exhausting work of trying to be someone you're not. And in that freedom, you'll discover something amazing. When you're doing what's actually yours to do, there's no such thing as laziness. There's only flow. There's only purpose. There's only the deep satisfaction of finally being who you are. Jung knew this secret. Now you do too. The only question left is what you're going to do about it. Your laziness is waiting for your answer. It's been waiting your whole life, and it's not going to give up until you finally listen to what it's been trying to tell you. You are not here to live someone else's life. You are here to live yours. And every moment of laziness is just your soul's way of saying, remember who you are. Remember why you're here. Remember what actually matters. The rest is just noise. And your laziness? Your laziness is the silence where your real life begins. Listen to it. Trust it. Follow it all the way home. But wait, you think we're done? We're just getting started. Because knowing this intellectually and living it, those are two different universes. Let me tell you about a patient Jung had. Successful banker. Everything you'd want on paper. Corner office, 6-figure salary, respect of his peers. Came to Jung because he couldn't sleep. 3 hours a night, max. His body was rejecting success harder than an organ transplant. Know what Jung found? This man, at age 12, used to spend entire days drawing. Intricate, obsessive drawings of imaginary machines. His father found them, burned them, told him to grow up and be practical. So he did. He became so practical, he almost died of it. Jung asked him one question. What would 12-year-old you think of your life? The man broke down sobbing. Couldn't stop for an hour. Because 12-year-old him would think he'd become everything he swore he'd never be. That's what we do. We murder our 12-year-old selves and then wonder why we can't sleep. We assassinate our dreams and then medicate the grief. We choose security over soul and then pop pills for the emptiness. But here's the thing Jung understood. The 12-year-old isn't dead, can't be killed. It's just hiding in your shadow, waiting. And every moment of laziness, that's the 12-year-old tugging on your sleeve saying, remember? Remember what we really wanted? You know what happened to that banker? He started drawing again. At first, just doodles in the margins of board meetings, then sketches on the train, then full drawings at home. His sleep came back. Not because he quit banking, he didn't, but because he stopped pretending banking was his whole identity. See, Jung wasn't anti-ambition, he was anti-false ambition. There's a difference between building something because it's yours to build and building something because you're scared of who you'd be if you didn't. Most of us are in the second category. We're not creating, we're compensating, we're not achieving, we're avoiding. We're not succeeding, we're hiding from the real work of becoming ourselves. And our psyche knows. Oh, it knows. That's why it makes you lazy. That's why it makes you tired. That's why it makes you tired. That's why it makes you suddenly fascinated by organizing your desk drawer when you should be working on your big project. Jung had another concept, the personal myth. Everyone's living out a story, whether they know it or not. The question is it your story, or did someone else write it for you? Think about the story you're living. The ambitious professional climbing the ladder. The devoted parent sacrificing everything. The rebel rejecting all convention. Where'd you get that script? Who handed it to you? And more importantly, is it working? Because if your personal myth doesn't align with your actual nature, you'll be lazy. Not sometimes. Always, you'll be in constant resistance to your own life. You'll wake up every day feeling like you're wearing someone else's skin. I knew a woman, brilliant programmer, could code for 16 hours straight when she was building something she cared about. But at her corporate job, couldn't focus for 16 minutes. They called her lazy, unfocused, problem employee. Know what she was building in those 16-hour stretches? Educational games for kids with learning disabilities. Free ones, no business model, no 5-year plan, just pure creation from a place of genuine calling. Her laziness at work wasn't weakness. It was her psyche screaming, "This isn't it. This isn't what we're here for." But she kept trying to force it, kept trying to care about quarterly reports and system optimizations for companies that sold sugar water. Jung would have told her what I'm telling you. Your laziness is sacred. It's the last defense against a life that would kill your soul. It's your authentic self refusing to be buried under other people's expectations. But here's where it gets complicated. Because some of you are thinking, so I should just quit everything and follow my passion. No, that's not what this is about. That's just another ego game. That's just trading one external expectation for another. The real work is subtler. It's about integration. Jung called it holding the tension of the opposites. You don't quit your job and become a street artist. You find a way to honor both the part of you that needs security and the part that needs expression. That banker, he kept banking, but he also rented a small studio. 3 nights a week he drew. Nothing grand, nothing Instagram-worthy. Just him and his 12-year-old self finally having the conversation they needed to have. That's what kills laziness. Not motivation, not discipline, not another productivity system. Integration, wholeness, allowing all parts of yourself to exist instead of murdering the ones that don't fit your image. You know what most people's biggest shadow content is? Joy. Simple, uncomplicated joy. The kind you had as a kid before anyone told you what success was supposed to look like. The kind that doesn't need to be productive or meaningful or world-changing. We're so addicted to significance that we've forgotten satisfaction. We're so obsessed with impact that we've abandoned presence. We're so focused on becoming that we've stopped being. And then we wonder why we're lazy, We wonder why we can't summon enthusiasm for our grand plans. We wonder why every ambition feels like wearing a costume that's 3 sizes too small. Jung spent years studying alchemy, not because he believed in turning lead into gold, but because he saw it as a metaphor for psychological transformation. The alchemist talked about the opus contra naturam, the work against nature. That's what most of us are doing, working against our nature, trying to turn our lead into someone else's gold. And our laziness is nature's way of saying, stop, this isn't working, you're going the wrong way. But we don't listen, we double down, we try harder. We read another book about habits. We wake up earlier, we optimize our schedules. We do everything except the one thing that would actually help, asking ourselves what we really want. And I don't mean what your ego wants. Your ego wants what it thinks will make you safe, loved, admired. Your ego wants what everyone else seems to want. Your ego is a scared child trying to fit in by copying the bigger kids. I mean what you want, the you underneath all the conditioning, the you that existed before anyone told you who to be, the you that your laziness is trying to protect. Finding that you, that's the real work. That's the hero's journey. Not conquering the world, but discovering which world is actually yours to conquer. Jung talked about the difference between the ego and the self. The ego is who you think you are. The self is who you actually are. And the greater the distance between them, the lazier you become. It's physics, really. The more energy it takes to maintain a false identity, the less energy you have for actual living. You're so busy performing yourself that you have nothing left for being yourself. That's why authentic people seem to have unlimited energy. They're not wasting it on pretense. They're not burning fuel maintaining a facade. Every ounce of their life force is aligned in the same direction. But most of us, we're driving with the parking brake on. We're pushing the accelerator and the brake at the same time. Part of us wants to go forward with our ambitions, and part of us is screaming, wrong way. No wonder we're exhausted. No wonder we're lazy. No wonder we can't seem to get anywhere, no matter how hard we try. Jung observed something fascinating in his patients. The ones who were most resistant to their therapy were often closest to breakthrough. The more their psyche fought against change, the more important that change was. Same with your laziness. The things you're most resistant to doing might be the most important things for you to examine. Not to force yourself to do them, but to understand why every fiber of your being is saying no. Because sometimes that no is protecting you from wasting your life. And sometimes that no is protecting you from living it. The wisdom is knowing which is which. Here's a practice Jung used with his patients. He'd have them dialogue with their resistance. Actually, talk to their laziness like it was a person. Ask it questions. Listen to its answers. Try it. Next time you can't make yourself do something, instead of pushing through or giving up, get curious. Ask your laziness, what are you protecting me from? What do you know that I don't? What are you trying to tell me? You might be surprised by the answers. Your laziness might tell you that the project you're avoiding would require you to be visible, and you're terrified of being seen. Or that success in this area would mean leaving people behind and you're not ready for that grief. Or maybe, just maybe, your laziness will tell you the simple truth. This isn't yours to do. This belongs to someone else's life. You're trying to wear a crown that was made for a different head. The thing about living someone else's life is that even if you win, you lose. Even if you achieve everything, you achieve nothing, because none of it feeds your actual soul. Jung watched people climb to the top of ladders only to realize they were leaning against the wrong wall. He watched them succeed at everything except being themselves. He watched them win every game except the one that mattered. And then he watched them come to him, successful and empty, asking, is this it? Is this all there is? And he'd have to tell them the hard truth. You've been asking the wrong questions your whole life. The question isn't, how can I be more successful? The question is, what does success mean to me? The question isn't, how can I stop being lazy? The question is, what is my laziness trying to show me? Because here's what Jung knew that changed everything. The psyche is always trying to heal itself. Always. Even when it seems like it's sabotaging you, it's actually trying to save you. Even when it seems like it's making you fail, it's actually trying to help you succeed at something real. Your laziness isn't your enemy. It's your ally. It's the part of you that refuses to betray your essence for external rewards. It's the part that knows the difference between a life that looks good and a life that feels good and a life that feels good. But we live in a world that doesn't understand this. We live in a world that medicates depth and rewards superficiality. We live in a world that calls you lazy for not wanting to build someone else's dream. So we internalize that judgment. We hate ourselves for not fitting in. We punish ourselves for not wanting what we're supposed to want. We declare war on our own nature and then wonder why we're losing. Jung offered a different way. Not the way of force, but the way of understanding. Not the way of overcoming, but the way of integration. Not the way of either or, but the way of both and. You can be successful and authentic. You can be ambitious and true to yourself. You can achieve things and not betray your soul. But first, you have to stop trying to live someone else's life. And that's where the real courage comes in, because disappointing others is scary. Being seen as lazy or unmotivated is scary. But you know what's scarier? Not fitting into the predetermined boxes is scary. But you know what's scarier? Getting to the end of your life and realizing you never lived it. Achieving everything on your list and discovering none of it was yours. Succeeding at being someone else and failing at being yourself. Your laziness is trying to save you from that fate. It's trying to redirect you toward your actual life. It's trying to help you remember who you were before the world told you who to be. The question is, will you listen? Will you trust it? Will you have the courage to follow it into the unknown territory of your authentic existence? Because that's what's waiting on the other side of your resistance. Not just success, but meaningful success. Not just achievement, but aligned achievement. Not just a life, but your life. You knew this from personal experience. He had to choose between being a respectable doctor and following his own strange path into the unconscious. He had to risk everything to become himself. And what he found in that risk was more valuable than any external success. He found his work, his real work, the work that only he could do. The work that lazy, respectable Jung would never have discovered. That's what your laziness is protecting. Not your comfort, not your mediocrity, but your magnificence. The specific, unique contribution that only you can make. The life that only you can live. But to find it, you have to stop forcing. You have to stop pushing. You have to stop trying to overcome your nature and start trying to understand it. Because your nature knows things. It knows why you're here. It knows what you're capable of. It knows what you're capable of. It knows what would make you come truly alive. And it's been trying to tell you through the only language you'll pay attention to, resistance. Every time you can't make yourself care about something, that's information. Every time you procrastinate, that's data. Every time you feel that heavy, lazy feeling, that's your psyche trying to communicate. The message is always the same. This isn't it. This isn't you. This isn't why you're here. And deep down, you know it's true. Deep down, beneath all the conditioning and expectations and fears, you know exactly what your real life would look like. You've always known. The only question is whether you'll have the courage to live it. Whether you'll trust your laziness more than other people's ambitions for you. Whether you'll choose the discomfort of authenticity over the familiar pain of pretense. Jung made his choice. He followed his resistance all the way to his truth. He trusted his inability to be normal and discovered something extraordinary. Your laziness is offering you the same opportunity. The same invitation, the same chance to stop living someone else's life and start living your own. All you have to do is listen. All you have to do is trust. All you have to do is follow your resistance home to who you really are. Because on the other side of your laziness isn't more laziness. It's energy, it's passion, it's the kind of ambition that doesn't need to be forced because it comes from your core. That's what Jung discovered. That's what your psyche has been trying to show you. That's what your laziness has been protecting all along. The real you, the authentic you. The you that has more energy than you can imagine, but only for the life that's actually yours. So the next time you feel lazy, don't fight it. Don't judge it. Don't try to overcome it. Instead, get curious about it. Ask it what it knows. Listen to what it's trying to tell you. Because your laziness might just be the wisest part of you. The part that refuses to let you waste your life on someone else's dreams. The part that knows the difference between success and fulfillment. The part that's been waiting your whole life for you to finally ask the right question. Not, how can I stop being lazy? But, what is my laziness trying to teach me? The answer to that question will change everything. Just like it did for Jung. Just like it does for everyone brave enough to ask it. Your laziness isn't the problem. Your laziness is the guide. Follow it. Trust it. Let it lead you home to the life that's been waiting for you all along. The life where ambition isn't forced, but natural. Where work isn't work, but play. Where success isn't empty, but full of meaning. That life exists. Your laziness knows where to find it. All you have to do is listen. But here's what nobody mentions about this journey. It's not a straight line. It's not like you have one breakthrough and suddenly you're aligned forever. The psyche is trickier than that. Jung talked about the transcendent function, the psyche's ability to unite opposites. But before union comes conflict. Before integration comes disintegration. Before you can become whole, you have to let yourself fall apart. That's what your laziness is initiating. A necessary falling apart. A blessed disintegration of everything that isn't really you. And that's terrifying. No wonder we resist it. No wonder we'd rather stay busy than face that void. I watched a CEO go through this, built a company from nothing, sold it for millions, should have been on top of the world. Instead, complete breakdown. Couldn't get out of bed for months. His family thought he was depressed. His friends thought he was ungrateful. He thought he was lazy. Know what was really happening? His psyche was demanding payment for 20 years of living someone else's dream. See, he never wanted to be a CEO. He wanted to be a teacher. But teachers don't make money, and his father had been poor, and so he chose money over meaning. And it worked. For a while. The same way holding your breath works. For a while. But eventually, you have to breathe. Eventually, your nature demands its due. That's what breakdown is. Your nature demands its due. That's what breakdown is. Your nature demanding its due. Your authentic self saying, enough. We're done pretending. We're done performing. We're done living this borrowed life. But we're so scared of breakdown that we'll do anything to avoid it. We'll medicate it, distract from it, positive think our way around it. Anything but go through it. Anything but let it teach us what it came to teach. Jung went through his own breakdown. He called it his confrontation with the unconscious. For years, he couldn't function normally. He spent hours talking to imaginary figures. He built toy villages. He did everything that ambitious people aren't supposed to do. His colleagues thought he'd lost his mind. Maybe he had, but in losing his mind, he found his soul. In letting go of who he was supposed to be, he discovered who he was. That's the promise hidden in your laziness. Not just a better life, but a real life. Not just more success, but success that actually means something. Not just achievement, but achievement that comes from your depths. But to get there, you have to be willing to look crazy. You have to be willing to disappoint people. You have to be willing to admit that maybe, just maybe, you've been wrong about everything. Wrong about what matters. wrong about what you want, wrong about what you are. That's a lot of wrongness to face. No wonder we'd rather stay busy. No wonder we'd rather keep pushing. No wonder we'd rather call ourselves lazy than face the truth. The truth is, you know exactly what you need to do. You've always known. It's just that what you need to do doesn't match what you think you should do, and that gap, that's where your laziness lives. Jung had a patient who couldn't write her dissertation. 5 years of procrastination. 5 years of self-hatred. 5 years of everyone calling her lazy, including herself. Know what Jung discovered? She didn't want a PhD. She wanted to write novels. But novels were frivolous, and PhDs were respectable, and so she tortured herself trying to want what she didn't want. Her laziness wasn't the problem. Her laziness was the solution. It was protecting her from spending 5 more years on the wrong path. It was trying to redirect her toward her actual calling. Once she admitted this, once she gave herself permission to want what she actually wanted, the laziness vanished. She wrote her first novel in 6 months. The same woman who couldn't write a single page of her dissertation wrote 300 pages of fiction without effort. That's the magic. When you're doing what's actually yours to do, effort disappears. Discipline becomes irrelevant. Motivation is unnecessary. Because you're not pushing anymore. You're being pulled. Pulled by something larger than your ego. Pulled by your actual purpose. Pulled by the life that's been waiting for you to be brave enough to live it. But finding that life requires a kind of death. The death of who you think you are. The death of who others need you to be. The death of every identity that isn't actually yours. And that death, that's what your laziness is facilitating. Every time you can't make yourself do something, a false part of you is dying. Every time you procrastinate, an inauthentic ambition is being revealed. Your laziness is a holy executioner, killing off everything that isn't really you. No wonder it feels like death. It is death. The necessary death that precedes rebirth. Jung called it the night sea journey. The hero's descent into darkness, the place where all your props are taken away, all your masks are removed, all your false identities are stripped. What's left when everything fake is gone? That's what your laziness is trying to show you. That's why you clicked on this. Because last night you disable, you, the one that exists before and after all the costumes. But we're terrified of that naked self. We're terrified of being seen without our achievements, our roles, our carefully constructed personalities. We're terrified of being just us. So we stay busy, we stay ambitious, we stay focused on external goals. Anything to avoid the internal confrontation, anything to postpone the reckoning. But the reckoning always comes. If not at 30, then at 40. If not at 40, then at 50. If not in life, then on your deathbed. The psyche is patient, but it's also relentless. And every year you postpone it, the laziness gets stronger, the resistance gets heavier, the gap between who you are and who you're pretending to be gets wider, until one day you simply can't pretend anymore, can't push anymore, can't force yourself to care about things that don't matter to you. That's not breakdown, that's breakthrough. That's not failure, that's the beginning of success, real success. The kind that doesn't require constant effort to maintain. The kind that flows from who you are rather than who you think you should be. The kind that energizes rather than depletes. That's what's waiting on the other side of your laziness. That's what your resistance has been trying to give you all along. Not an easier life, but a true life. Not less ambition, but authentic ambition. The ambition that comes from your soul rather than your ego. The ambition that comes from your soul rather than image. The ambition that builds something real rather than something impressive. That ambition exists in you. Your laziness knows exactly where it is. All you have to do is stop fighting and start following. Stop judging and start listening. Stop trying to be someone else and start discovering who you are. Because who you are is magnificent. Who you are has gifts that the world desperately needs. Who you are has work to do that only you can do. but that you is buried under layers of should and supposed to and have to, that you is hidden beneath years of conditioning and expectation and fear. Your laziness is the shovel, your resistance is the map, your inability to care about the wrong things is the compass pointing toward the right things. Trust it, follow it, let it strip away everything that isn't yours until only truth remains. That's what Jung did. That's what every person who's ever lived an authentic life has done. They've trusted their resistance more than their conditioning. They've followed their laziness home to their purpose. And on the other side, they found what you'll find, that when you're doing what you're actually here to do, there's no such thing as laziness. There's only flow. There's only presence. There's only the deep satisfaction of finally being yourself. That's the promise. That's the invitation. That's what your laziness has been trying to tell you all along. The question now isn't whether you'll overcome your laziness. The question is whether you'll let your laziness overcome everything that isn't really you. Because that's what needs to happen. That's what wants to happen. That's what your psyche has been orchestrating through what you call procrastination and resistance and laziness. The death of the false and the birth of the true. The end of performing and the beginning of being. The release of borrowed ambitions and the embrace of authentic purpose. It's all there, waiting in your laziness, waiting in your resistance, waiting in the very thing you've been trying to fix. Because the thing you've been trying to fix isn't broken. It's brilliant. It's the wisest part of you. It's the part that knows the difference between a life that looks good and a life that is good. Trust that part. Follow that part. Let that part lead you home to yourself. Your laziness isn't the obstacle. Your laziness is the way. But let's get even more specific. Let's talk about what Jung actually did when he was lazy, because that's where this gets really interesting. During his most unproductive years, Jung developed a practice called active imagination. Sounds fancy, but here's what it actually was. He'd sit in his study and talk to the figures in his mind, out loud, like a crazy person. He'd have full conversations with inner characters. He'd ask them questions. He'd argue with them. He'd let them teach him things his conscious mind didn't know. His wife would hear him through the door, having heated debates with no one. By every external measure, this was peak laziness. A grown man, a doctor, sitting alone talking to imaginary friends instead of seeing patients or writing papers. His colleagues were embarrassed for him. His reputation was in ruins. But Jung knew something they didn't. He knew that this laziness was actually the deepest work possible. He was mapping territory no one had explored. He was discovering laws of the psyche that would revolutionize psychology. See, what looks like laziness from the outside might be profound activity on the inside. What looks like doing nothing might be doing everything. What looks like wasting time might be finding eternity. But we can't see it because we only value what's visible. We only count what can be measured. We only respect what makes money or gains applause. Everything else, we call it lazy. Jung discovered that the figures in his active imagination weren't random. They were aspects of his psyche trying to communicate. They were parts of himself he'd never met. They were potentials waiting to be realized. One figure kept appearing, an old wise man Jung called Philemon. This imaginary figure taught Jung things he didn't consciously know, gave him insights he couldn't have reached through thinking, showed him dimensions of reality he couldn't have discovered through research. Was Jung being lazy when he talked to Philemon? Or was he doing the most important work of his life? Was he wasting time? Or was he discovering truths that would help millions of people understand themselves? The answer depends on your definition of productivity. If productivity means checking boxes and meeting deadlines, then yes, Jung was lazy. If productivity means discovering your authentic purpose and bringing forth what only you can bring, then Jung was the most productive person alive. That's the paradox your laziness is trying to show you. Real work often looks like no work. Real productivity often looks like wasting time. Real achievement often looks like nothing from the outside. I know a painter who stares at blank canvases for hours, just sits there, looking. Her family thinks she's procrastinating. Her friends think she's blocked. They don't understand that she's not looking at the canvas. She's looking through it. She's waiting for the painting to show itself. She's listening for what wants to emerge. She's being receptive instead of aggressive. And when the image finally comes, she paints it in a fury, sometimes finishing in hours what others would take weeks to complete. Is she lazy? Or has she learned something about creation that our productivity-obsessed culture has forgotten? Has she discovered that force creates tension while patience creates flow? Jung noticed this pattern everywhere. The people doing the most authentic work often looked the laziest. The ones creating real value often seemed the least productive. The ones changing the world were often the ones who'd stepped out of the world's frantic pace. Because real creation requires descent. It requires going down into the quiet depths where new things are born. It requires turning away from the external noise to hear the internal signal. But that descent looks like laziness to anyone watching. It looks like avoidance. It looks like fear. It looks like everything our achievement-oriented culture teaches us to despise. So we stay on the surface. We stay busy with busy work. We keep ourselves too occupied to descend, too productive to create, too successful to succeed at anything that matters. Jung had another revolutionary idea: synchronicity, meaningful coincidences. The idea that when you're aligned with your true path, the universe conspires to help you. Doors open that should be closed. People appear at exactly the right moment. Resources manifest from nowhere. But here's the catch. Synchronicity only works when you're following your authentic path. When you're forcing yourself to live someone else's life, the universe doesn't help. It hinders. Every door sticks. Every resource dries up. Every step forward requires tremendous effort. That's what your laziness is trying to tell you. When everything feels hard, when every action requires force, when you have to push yourself to do the simplest things, that's not because you're weak. It's because you're going the wrong way. The universe has withdrawn its support. Not to punish you, but to redirect you. Not to make you fail, but to make you question whether this is really your mountain to climb. Think about the last time you were in flow, really in flow, where hours passed like minutes, where work felt like play, where everything just clicked. What were you doing? Who were you being? What part of yourself were you expressing? That's your data. That's your information. That's your psyche showing you what alignment feels like, what authentic ambition looks like, what real productivity means for you. But we dismiss these experiences. We call them flukes. We say they don't count because they weren't productive in the conventional sense. We return to forcing ourselves to do things that feel like death. And then we wonder why we're lazy. We wonder why we can't sustain motivation. We wonder why every achievement feels empty and every success feels like failure. Jung saw this tragedy play out over and over. People achieving everything except what mattered. People succeeding at everything except being themselves. People so busy climbing ladders they never asked if they wanted to be on the roof. He developed a technique. Follow the libido. Not libido in a sexual sense, but life energy. Where does your energy naturally want to go? What activities energize rather than drain you? What work feels like restoration rather than depletion? That's your thread. That's your guide. That's what your laziness has been trying to protect. The activities that truly belong to you, that emerge from your essence rather than your conditioning. But following your libido requires tremendous courage. Because your energy might want to go in directions that make no sense. It might be drawn to activities that have no obvious value. It might pull you toward work that nobody understands. Jung's energy pulled him toward studying mythology, alchemy, and ancient religions. Made no sense for a psychiatrist. His energy pulled him toward building a stone tower with his own hands. Made no sense for an intellectual. His energy pulled him toward carving stones and painting mandalas. Made no sense for a serious professional. but he followed it anyway. And in following his unproductive interests, he discovered the collective unconscious. He found archetypal patterns that explained human behavior across all cultures. He created a psychology that honored the soul, not just the symptom. None of this would have happened if he'd overcome his laziness. None of it would have emerged if he'd forced himself to be a conventional doctor. His greatest contributions came from following his resistance away from what he should do and toward what he must do. That's the model. That's the way. Not the way of force, but the way of following. Not the way of discipline, but the way of devotion. Not the way of overcoming, but the way of understanding. Your laziness knows where your devotion lives. It knows what you do for free, what you do even if everyone laughed, what you do if success and failure weren't concepts anymore. But we're so hypnotized by external markers of achievement that we've lost touch with internal markers of alignment. We're so focused on looking good that we've forgotten what feeling good actually means. Jung told a story about a patient who came to him with horrible anxiety. Successful businessman. Checked all the boxes, but couldn't breathe. Literally felt like he was suffocating all the time. Jung asked him one question. If you could do anything with no consequences, what would it be? The man laughed bitterly. I'd move to the mountains and make furniture. Why don't you? Are you insane? I have responsibilities. I have a reputation. I have a lifestyle to maintain. And how's that working for you? Jung asked. The man couldn't answer because he couldn't breathe. See, we think our responsibilities require us to betray ourselves. We think maturity means giving up what we love. We think success requires sacrificing our soul. But Jung saw the opposite. He saw that real responsibility means being responsible to your authentic self. Real maturity means growing into who you are, not who others need you to be. Real success means succeeding at expressing your unique essence. Everything else is sophisticated failure. It's succeeding at dying. It's achieving your way to emptiness. It's building a life that looks perfect and feels like prison. Your laziness is trying to break you out of that prison. It's trying to show you the door. It's trying to remind you that you always have a choice, even when it feels like you don't. But the door it's showing you might not lead where you expect. It might lead to a smaller life that feels larger. It might lead to less achievement that means more. It might lead to a kind of success that nobody else recognizes as success. Jung worked with a banker who secretly wrote poetry, a lawyer who secretly painted, a doctor who secretly composed music. All of them thought their secret passions were shameful distractions from their real work. Know what Jung told them? Your secret passion is your real work. Everything else is the distraction. Everything else is what's shameful, the shame of living someone else's life. But integrating your real work into your life, that's the art. That's the challenge. That's what your laziness is demanding you figure out. Because it's not about dropping everything and becoming a starving artist. It's about finding a way to honor both survival and soul. It's about creating a life that includes both security and authenticity. It's about refusing to split yourself in half anymore. Some of Jung's patients kept their day jobs, but carved out sacred time for their real work. Others gradually transitioned, building bridges between who they were and who they were becoming. Still others made radical leaps, trusting that alignment would provide what forcing never could. There's no one right way. There's only your way. And your laziness knows what your way is. It knows what combination of compromise and courage you need. It knows what would work for your specific situation. But you have to ask it. You have to listen to it. You have to trust it more than you trust the voices telling you to just try harder, to just be more disciplined, to just want what you're supposed to want. Those voices are lying. They're telling you that the problem is your laziness when the problem is what you're trying to be lazy about. They're telling you to overcome your resistance when you should be following it. Jung discovered something profound. The things we resist most fiercely are often the things we most need to do or the things we most need to stop doing. The resistance itself is the message. The laziness itself is the communication. But we're so trained to see resistance as the enemy that we can't hear what it's saying. We're so conditioned to overcome obstacles that we can't see when the obstacle is the path. What if your inability to write that report is telling you that you're in the wrong job? What if your procrastination on that project is showing you that it's not your project? What if your laziness about that goal is revealing that it's not your goal? These aren't failures of character, they're successes of intuition. They're your deeper wisdom saying no to what your surface mind thinks it should say yes to. But acknowledging this requires admitting that maybe you don't know what's best for you. Maybe your conscious plans aren't as smart as your unconscious wisdom. Maybe your ego's ambitions aren't as important as your soul's intentions. That's a hard pill to swallow. We're so identified with our conscious goals, our 5-year plans, our vision boards. To admit that our laziness might be wiser than our ambition feels like admitting defeat. But it's not defeat. It's the beginning of victory, real victory. The kind where you win at being yourself instead of losing at being someone else. Jung had a term, enantiodromia. It means the tendency of things to turn into their opposite. The more you pursue light, the more you create shadow. The more you chase success, the more you create failure. The more you force productivity, the more you create resistance. That's what's happening with your laziness. The more you try to overcome it, the stronger it gets. The more you fight it, the more it fights back. Because it's not actually fighting you. It's fighting for you. It's fighting for your authentic life. So what's the alternative? Stop fighting. Start dancing. Stop seeing laziness as the enemy and start seeing it as the teacher. Stop trying to overcome it and start trying to understand it. Because here's what Jung knew. Inside every symptom is a solution. Inside every problem is a gift. Inside every laziness is a direction. You just have to be willing to receive it. But receiving requires humility. It requires admitting that your psyche might know something your ego doesn't. It requires acknowledging that your grand plans might be defense mechanisms against your actual calling. I worked with someone who spent 10 years trying to finish a novel. 10 years of self-hatred. 10 years of failed NaNoWriMos and abandoned drafts. Everyone told her she was lazy. She believed them. Know what we discovered? She wasn't a novelist. She was a poet. But poetry didn't seem substantial enough. Poetry didn't seem like real writing, so she forced herself to want to write novels while her soul wanted to write haikus. The moment she gave herself permission to write poetry, the laziness vanished. She wrote every day, not because she disciplined herself, but because she couldn't not write. The same woman who couldn't finish a chapter wrote hundreds of poems in a year. That's the shift. That's the transformation. From forcing what you think you should do to flowing with what you're called to do. From overcoming resistance to following it home. Your laziness is holding space for your real work. It's protecting your energy for your authentic contribution. It's saving you from wasting your life on the wrong mountain. The question is, are you brave enough to trust it? Are you willing to disappoint everyone who has other plans for your life? Are you ready to discover what you'd be ambitious about if you weren't so busy being ambitious about the wrong things? Because that's what's waiting. That's what your laziness has been guarding. Not an easier life, but a truer life. Not less work, but real work. Not smaller ambitions, but authentic ambitions. Ambitions that come from your core instead of your conditioning. Ambitions that energize instead of exhaust. Ambitions that matter to your soul, not just your ego. Those ambitions exist. Your laziness knows exactly where they are. It's been trying to point you toward them your whole life. Every time you couldn't force yourself to care about something that didn't matter, that was your laziness saying, not this. This isn't it. But what is it? What's the thing you're actually here to do? What's the work that would feel like play? What's the achievement that would actually fulfill you? Only you can answer that. And you can only answer it by listening to what you've been trying not to hear, by following what you've been trying not to follow, by trusting what you've been trying not to trust. Your laziness. Your beautiful, intelligent, protective laziness. The part of you that refuses to let you waste your life. The part that knows the difference between real and fake. The part that's been waiting for you to finally ask the right questions. Not, how can I be more productive? But what's worth producing? Not, how can I achieve more? But what's worth achieving? Not, how can I overcome my laziness? But what is my laziness protecting? The answers will surprise you. They'll scare you. They'll require you to reimagine everything. But they'll also set you free. Free to be who you are. Free to do what you're here to do. Free to be who you are. You're here to do what you're here to do. What your discovered as. That's what Jung discovered. That's why Euclid, everyone who's ever lived an authentic life, has discovered that the enemy isn't laziness. The enemy is inauthenticity. And laziness is just authenticity trying to get your attention. So pay attention. Listen to what your resistance is telling you. Follow your laziness to its source. Because at that source, you'll find something that will change everything. Your real life. The one you've been too busy to live. The one you've been too ambitious to notice. The one that's been waiting for you to be lazy enough to find it. And here's the final twist. The last thing Jung understood that changes everything. Your laziness isn't just personal. It's collective. It's not just about you finding your path. It's about what happens to the world when people live authentically. See, every time someone chooses their real work over their supposed work, it creates a ripple. Every time someone trusts their laziness over their conditioning, it gives others permission to do the same. Every time someone says, I can't do this anymore to the fake and yes to the real, the collective unconscious shifts. Jung saw this happening. He watched as his patients' transformations affected their families, their communities, their fields, not through preaching or convincing, but through the simple power of example, through the undeniable energy of someone finally doing what they're here to do. Because authenticity is contagious. When you see someone truly alive, truly aligned, truly doing their work, it awakens something in you. It reminds you that it's possible. It shows you that the cost of authenticity is worth paying. But inauthenticity is contagious too. When we're surrounded by people forcing themselves through lives they don't want, we think that's normal. We think that's maturity. We think that's just how life is. Your laziness is trying to break that chain. It's trying to stop the generational trauma of unlived lives. It's trying to interrupt the pattern of parents passing their unfulfilled dreams onto their children, who pass them on to their children ad infinitum. Every time you honor your laziness, you're not just saving yourself. You're saving everyone who comes after you. You're modeling a different way. You're proving that it's possible to be successful and authentic, ambitious and aligned, productive and true. That's the real reason to listen to your laziness. Not just for your own fulfillment, but for what your fulfillment makes possible for others. Not just for your own authentic life, but for the permission it gives everyone watching. Because people are watching. They're watching to see if it's possible. They're watching to see if you'll have the courage they don't have yet. They're watching to see if authentic life is real or just another fairy tale. Show them it's real. Show them by following your laziness all the way home. Show them by trusting your resistance more than your fear. Show them by choosing the discomfort of authenticity over the familiar agony of pretense. Jung did this. He showed us all that it's possible. He proved that following your weird, inconvenient, socially unacceptable truth leads to contributions that change the world. He demonstrated that laziness isn't the enemy of achievement, it's the guardian of meaningful achievement. Now it's your turn. Your laziness has been preparing you for this moment. Every time it stopped you from going further in the wrong direction, it was saving your energy for the right direction. Every time it made you question your supposed ambitions, it was clearing space for your real ones. The stage is set. The invitation has been extended. Your laziness has brought you to the threshold of your authentic life. All that's left is to walk through. Will you?